Only Dynamite would say that's a sweet ride.
Sweet ride.
Sweet ride.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Probably a little windy to be out there riding a motorcycle today. I'm looking even at the traffic cameras, they're blowing around. So if you have a higher vehicle, could be blowing around too. You lose a lane of traffic, things do slow down. This is highly traveled throughout the morning, so something to think about. We did last week experiment a little bit with some eastbound closures. This week though, it's going to be westbound. Again, that's 94 westbound between Highway 280 and Franklin. Let's look at our map, show you how our traffic levels are looking at this hour. We're seeing the Northwest Metro waking up. It's still a lot of green out there. Checking out the Northeast, same in that region. The southern suburbs are a little quieter at this early hour, as is per usual. Checking it out though. Not seeing any difficulties quite yet. I'll be standing by to let you know if anything does pop up. But until then, let's get you updated on how your weather's looking for today. Keith, I've spotted the wind you were talking about. This is a view down in Burnsville, 35W and Highway 13. We're seeing those traffic cameras blowing around a little bit, indicating you may really feel that as you're driving, especially in those high-profile vehicles. So keep a tight grip on those wheels. As far as traffic goes, though, northbound is building at this hour, but we're not seeing any major slowdowns yet. Looking a little bit farther east as you go from Maplewood, heading westbound towards St. Paul. Traffic building here as well. We do see some tiny roads out there from some of the moisture and rain that's been passing over our area. And of course, you can see the street light blowing in the wind as well. To one other spot I want to show you, 494 at Hardman Avenue as you're going from Newport westbound into the Inver Grove Heights area, trying to reach that Bloomington strip here on 494. You're cruising right along at the posted speed. Again, seeing some moisture on the roads, but because we've been having such mild temperatures, we're not at the around the freezing zone at all anymore. We don't see. Last night, we had the westbound lane, the far right lane of westbound traffic between 280 and Franklin closed off. It's going to remain so until June. So we basically lost a lane of traffic for a short stretch here on I-94. This is a highly traveled interstate throughout the morning, so expect some delays in the westbound direction. Of course, I'll be standing by letting you know if we do start to see things backed up, but so far so good. All right, Jason, Don, back over to you guys. And while we're seeing the wind and those traffic cameras blowing around quite a bit, so again, as you're driving, you're going to want to keep a tight grip on that wheel so you don't feel like you're out of control. I drive a little car. I felt a little bit like I was getting pushed around on the roads today. One thing we want to note out there, other than the weather, is that we're seeing some construction that could impact your drive. Last week we saw some lane closures in the eastbound direction at I-94. It's part of that I-94 improvement project. They're trying to improve that interstate between downtown St. Paul and downtown Minneapolis. Today the changes being made is that we lost a lane of traffic in the westbound direction. Now instead of 4 lanes, we have just 3. It starts here at Highway 280, so as you're heading westbound, expect some slowing. We're going to see some thicker traffic than usual. Looking a little bit east of where the closure goes into place, we still see traffic flowing along without any trouble. This is a view from Cretin Avenue. And looking a little west of the construction, we're seeing traffic flow still looking good as well. So the congestion levels pretty from Highway 280 to Franklin right now what's being worked on. So be prepared for some slowing in that area. The rest of you traveling so far this morning, if you're about to head out the door, conditions looking good for you. We do have building traffic on 94 eastbound from Rogers into Maple Grove. 494 southbound traffic heavy as you approach Rockford, but still we're moving at the posted speed. Highway 10 eastbound is another one of our heavy traffic spots at this hour, but still anywhere you look, we're still moving at the posted speed as far as I can tell. I will be standing by letting you know how things switch up as we get closer to 7 o'clock, especially in that area where we have construction. Tom, Alex.
All right. Thank you, Kelsey.
Good morning, everyone. A happy Tuesday to you. Thanks for waking up at the Fox 5 Morning News. We're looking outside, get a live look for you, and we're seeing some moist roads out there. We did have some rain overnight and even some sprinkles across parts of the area this morning, but that's not slowing people down. And because our mild temperatures are so nice, nothing is freezing over anymore, so we're out of the woods in that regard. We're looking, though, to some heavier traffic. This is Highway 10 heading eastbound up in the Coon Rapids area. We're not seeing any major slowdowns, though, quite yet. A little windy out there. Some of our traffic cameras really blowing around, indicating that if you have a higher profile vehicle, you may want to keep a nice tight grip on that steering wheel. I know when I was driving this morning, I felt like I was getting pushed around a little bit out there. We do have one crash report at this hour. It's on 169 northbound as you approach the area of that 494 junction, so be prepared to slow as you pass by. It's still early enough now at 6:25. We don't have a major jam up as a result of this, but if we don't get this cleared, it could become troublesome, especially since this is an area where we have a lot of construction going on. Speaking of that, coming Thursday, we're going to be seeing that most of the traffic will be shifted over to the northbound side of 169, right at that junction of 494. And that's going to include turning the traffic signals back on for those of you traveling westbound 494. I'll remind you as we get closer to the time, it's fairly decent. This is something we want to point out, though. 94 westbound between 280 and Franklin, we lost the far right lane of traffic. We're reduced, instead of just 4 lanes, we now have 3. That's a part of the I-94 improvement project between the two downtowns. We're going to continue seeing work like this being being done throughout the summer, so be prepared for some slowdowns today as we adjust to that. 6:26 now. We're taking a quick break, but stick with us. Morning, everyone. We are seeing the wind out on the roadways. We can see it in our traffic cameras. They're blowing around some of the poles and light posts out there, also blowing, so keep a tight grip on that steering wheel today. You may feel like your vehicle's being blown a little bit. So far, no major slowdowns, but I am monitoring I-94 for you. We have that improvement project in place. We're going to start seeing lanes close throughout the summer into the fall. Today, what we saw happen overnight and is impacting our morning commute is westbound traffic at I-94 between Highway 280 and Franklin. We went from 4 lanes of traffic down to just 3, and that's going to be lasting until June. So be prepared for some slowing, especially as we get into the 7 o'clock hour. So far, this traffic here on the far part of your screen, that's the traffic we see approaching that situation. Just slowing a bit. We don't have any major jam-ups quite yet. I'll let you know, though, when we do start to see those go into place. Looking now at 169 and 494, this is where we have the one crash that's being worked on at this hour in the Twin Cities. So northbound traffic on 169 as you're trying to get toward that junction of 494, which is already a pretty congested area in the morning, could be a little bit slower than usual. Something to note happening Thursday is where southbound traffic getting heavier through New Hope. Looking over to the northeast, our heaviest traffic is 35W as you approach 694, as well as Highway 10. Some slowing eastbound as you approach that junction 35W, but pretty typical traffic patterns. Southern suburbs still fairly quiet, but I'll have an update on those coming up. For now, let's get back over to Tom and Alex.
Thank you, Kelsey. It's 6.
They're going to feel themselves blowing around a little bit out on the roadways, and we're seeing our traffic cameras blowing around a bit as well. So the wind definitely very real out there, and we're seeing northbound traffic here in Burnsville, 35W and Highway 13, trying to cruise northbound, and it's doing so at about 45 miles per hour instead of 55 to 60 that we would like to see. But that's typical for this time of day on a Tuesday morning. Nothing out of the ordinary here, though. 169 northbound down in the southwest metro as you're trying to get toward the 494 junction. This is a little bit more congested than usual. We had a crash right near 494 as you're heading northbound on 169. The crash itself has been cleared, but you can still see the slow-moving conditions here at Anderson Lakes Parkway. I-94 traffic doing an all-right job navigating through what is a bit of a change-up here in the I-94 corridor. We are down to 3 lanes of traffic instead of 4 between Highway 280 and Franklin. That is in the westbound direction. This is all a part of that I-94 improvement project, which has been going on basically since 2010. We're now just seeing, though, that lane closure go into place. That's why we just have 3 lanes of traffic. This will remain in effect. One crash near 169 494 reported in the last hour or so, and that has been cleared. So northwest quadrant to the northeast, really anywhere you look, some of the oranges you're seeing, those reduced speeds, and a lot of the spots you're used to seeing them. So not a lot of out of the ordinary stuff today, guys, just that I-94 improvement project that could throw people off a little bit, but I'll keep an eye on it for you.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Fox 9 Morning News. We're so glad you're spending some time with us today. I'm Kelsey Sobey, and as I'm monitoring the roads for you this morning, I'm finding that it's a pretty typical day in the world of traffic. Not a lot of congestion that you wouldn't expect, but it is a little windy out there. You can see the traffic cameras all blowing around, those lights out there doing the same thing. Traffic a little slow here, though, in Burnsville. Not just showing you this for the wind, but also because northbound traffic slowing due to a crash reported at Cliff Road. So be prepared. There's some extra brake lights here, even though this is already a pretty big hotspot in the morning. 169 northbound slow traffic here as well, a little bit slower than normal. We had a crash as you approach the 494 junction. That's been cleared, but we already saw the backups. In fact, speeds reduced starting as far south as Highway 101. Now to 94 at Franklin Avenue. Here we see traffic actually doing a pretty good job navigating a now reduced set of lanes. We normally have 4 lanes in the westbound direction here between Highway 280 and Franklin. We're now down to just 3. It's all a part of that I-94 improvement with spots, as I showed you in our traffic cameras, are 35W northbound and 169 northbound. 212 eastbound traffic getting heavier and heavier as we get into the 7 o'clock hour, a little bit farther into the 7 o'clock hour. Looking to the east side of town, 94 corridor looking good all the way into St. Paul. We're not really seeing reduced speeds, so you get to 61. The northern suburbs, actually some of the traffic starting to die down a bit, but one of our hot spots is still 35W at that junction of Highway 10. All right, well, if you have your appetites going this morning, this is going to help even more. M.A. Roscoe is exploring her culinary. We have a few traffic jams out there. We want to dive right in. If you're traveling through Oakdale on 694, be prepared for some stop and go conditions starting as far north as Highway 5. Here's where that crash happened at 15th Street. It's blocking the left lane of traffic, really slowing things down. You can see the wind Keith was talking about really blowing around our traffic cameras. A little bit farther south here at Highway 5, we see already those stop and go conditions kick into gear. Again, this is southbound traffic 694 through Oakdale. Now we're looking at 94 at Franklin Avenue. Here, a few things going on. In the westbound side, we lost a lane of traffic overnight. So instead of 4 lanes, we are reduced to just 3. This is is happening between Highway 280 and Franklin Avenue, and it's not just today. We're going to be seeing this in place until June as we get some of that construction done on that I-94 improvement project, basically trying to improve the I-94 corridor between the two downtowns. Now, eastbound side, it looks like we have a few construction crews out there right now as well, just partially blocking that far right lane of traffic. So in both directions right now, traffic fairly heavy, but of course at 740 near the downtown Minneapolis area, we'd be seeing pretty heavy traffic anyway, but something to keep in mind. So we're still seeing some heavy traffic in the northbound direction, even now as farther south than Highway 101, starting really down in Shakopee. 35W northbound, we had a crash at Cliff Road, slowing traffic there. Looking a little farther to the east, Highway 52 at 70th Street, there was a piece of carpet lying in the roadway. Looked like a trooper or someone just stopped and pulled it over to the side of the road, so now out of the way. That's helping conditions there. And again, I want to point out 694 very slow right now from Oakdale into Maplewood. I'll have another update coming up in about 10 minutes. A busy morning right now in traffic. Tom, Alex.
Certainly is.
Just adjust it.
Just right there. Go like that. See it?
Thanks for the demo, Tom.
You look nice and clear now, Kelsey.
Good.
Look at
That's what I want to see it nice and clear today, because I actually have a lot of information to tell you. If you're out on the roadways, here's an area you may want to avoid. Check it out. This is 694 southbound at 50th Street. So just south of Highway 36. Not only are we seeing the traffic cameras blowing around with all that wind out there, keep a tight, firm grip on that wheel today, but also this very slow going traffic is going to cost you some time. Looking at the scene of the crash, it was at 15th Street. That's been cleared. That drive right now southbound from 36 down to 94, so through North St. Paul into Oakdale. The drive time right now between 36 and 94, about 20 minutes at least. That time is rising. Now, we do have that crash just recently cleared, so we will eventually start to see this congestion loosen up, but maybe not for some time. So if you have the option, maybe try Highway 120, Century Avenue, or another route if you have one. To the south side of town, 35W northbound still having some slow moments here right north of the Burnsville split. We had a crash earlier at Cliff Road. It looks like that's been cleared, but still some congestion. 169 northbound's been slow all morning after a crash near the junction of 494, and that's of course also where we have a lot of construction going on. Going a little bit farther north, 94 corridor has been impacted today because we lost a lane of traffic. So this is pretty big construction news. Instead of 4 lanes of traffic in the westbound direction at 280, we now have 3. So we are seeing some slowing, and now right now in the eastbound direction as well, we have some work being done. So be prepared in both directions, a little extra slowness today. All right, 7:56 now. We are taking a, yes, we've
talking about that.
Been watching that, and slowly but surely the slowdowns have begun, but at least the people that left early this morning, they did okay.
Yeah.
But we weren't expecting this. Let's look outside right now and give you from 36 down south to where that crash took place. The crash itself, that scene has been cleared, but the traffic congestion still remains in place. So hopefully we'll continue to see the speeds increasing. But for now, heavy traffic, we're looking at drive time about 15 minutes now between 36 and 94. Looking south again, 35W northbound, and that's where another one of our crashes are there. It's not too bad though. At this hour, we're improving. 169 northbound making improvements as well after a crash about an hour and a half ago near that 494 junction, which is typically busy anyway because of that construction going on there. A look at the I-94 corridor. Again, that's where we have that construction in place, and it's going to be lasting until June. This isn't going anywhere. And here's something you don't see every day, a car versus turkey crash on 394 westbound. Not slowing people down because the heaviest traffic right now on 394 is heading in the eastbound direction, and unfortunately, the turkey is deceased. That is what my traffic data tells me, but the person is okay. I'll have an update on that coming up in about 20 minutes. Right now, though, let's talk to Keith. My impression of what's happening outside.
Well done.
It was
well
better done off camera than on, so I'll stick with that. Going to I-94 right now, we are seeing some of our traffic cameras blowing around a little bit. Proof that Keith Marler is correct about that wind. But here's something that I want to point out from the world of traffic is that westbound traffic very slow going here in the I-94 corridor. We have a lost lane. Now, didn't actually lose it, but what happened is the construction crews had to close it off so they could start working on that I-94 improvement project. So as you're heading westbound 94, we do see traffic slowing at Pryor Avenue. It's the stretch of 280 to Franklin where we went from 4 lanes of traffic down to 3, and that's going to last until June. Now, if you're coming from the westbound, the west side of that congestion, you're seeing that even eastbound traffic slowing just a tad as you pass some construction crews over here on the east side. But it is that westbound side where we actually have been reduced by 1 lane. So that nice barrier up blocking that far right lane of traffic. I'll be keeping an eye on that for you throughout this construction season. Things around the I-94 improvement project keep changing from day to day. Here is a look at 394 eastbound traffic, looking like it's slowing a bit as it heads toward the downtown area. Something to do a bit with the sunshine. Also is jammed up, backed up all the way to Highway 36. It happened at 15th Street. The crash itself has been cleared. Now we're just waiting until we can really just loosen up all that congestion. But for the most part, conditions are just fine now. Earlier, I was recommending taking an alternate route. I don't think that's the case anymore. 35 east southbound still working on a crash near Larpenteur Avenue, so prepare for some slowdowns there. But again, not too bad at all. We're not seeing stop and go conditions by any means at all. Winding down in the world of traffic. And so that's it for me for now. Alex, over to you.
All right, thank you, Kelsey.